evening, folks. This is Tommy Lee Francis with the Morgan County Today. I'm here with Michael Nance, an author and columnist in the Morgan County Today. And our special guest today is County Executive Candidate Mark Keck. He is our Veteran Service Officer, and he's here with us to answer some questions so that you, the voter, can make a wise choice when going to the polls in August. August 4th is the election. Mark, good to have you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
All right, so without further ado, we'll let Michael start these questions. He's real good at this.
Well, good afternoon, Mark, and I would like you to use this as an opportunity to introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about your community, your education, your work history, your family. So just tell us about yourself.
Okay, thanks. Well, I was not born here in Morgan County, as everyone does know. I do have family ties here that go very deep. And a lot of families still living here in Morgan County. Spent 35 years in the Navy. Achieved the rank of Chief Warrant Officer 5. I married my wife. I returned to Morgan, came here to Morgan County. This is where I live, and it's probably where I'll be until I die. Again, family ties go deep. My community involvement, well, I've been involved in Morgan County Tourism Alliance since its inception. Been vice chairman of the Morgan Scott Project. I'm the Morgan County Veteran Service Officer, advocating for those compensations and medical compensations and so forth for veterans, and just the numerous other things that the veterans might need. A lot of times, sometimes they need help with Social Security because they're a veteran. I'm chairman of the Morgan County Tourism Alliance, and I just believe in service. I believe in community. I believe in just giving back. I'm so blessed to live in where I live and doing what I do. I mean, it's just an opportunity to give back to the community, basically for having a good life.
Well, I've got a selfish question. You said you spent 35 years in the Navy and you achieved the rank of Warrant Officer 5. So what actually was your job in the Navy?
Okay, my job in the Navy, as far as the Chief Warrant Officer 5, I was responsible for the safe docking and undocking of a ship, for the movements of the ship, for the maintenance of equipment on the ship. I was responsible for almost $2 million in funds that also went towards repair of equipment and purchasing items and stuff like that were required to be able to conduct our daily business and to fight a war.
Okay, so as Tommy said earlier, you're a candidate for the county executive's office. So, would you like to tell the prospective voters what you feel like are your biggest strengths if you were the winning candidate that you would bring to that office?
Well, my biggest strengths come from my love of the county and my love for our Lord Jesus Christ. But the actual managerial skills that would be required for that job, I achieved through the Navy. And the military teaches you how to be a leader from day one, and it's just a matter of do you step up into that role, or do you just let it go on by? Well, I always stepped up into that role, and by being fiscally responsible, leading men and women into battle, or just the day-to-day routines of military life. They had plenty of accolades and everything else while in the service. So I transposed that out when I retired. So, how did I do that? Well, I run the Veteran Service Office. In the Veteran Service Office, when we first started out, there was $4 million coming into veterans in Morgan County, and this was back 10 years ago when I took over. Today, according to the last state GDX report, there's over $13 million that comes to veterans in Morgan County, and that's through the function of that office of advocating for their compensation and their health benefits. That's doing appeals and making the United States government do what they said they were going to do. Now, the United States government said when you sign that blank check that they didn't say we're going to make you rich, but they said we will take care of you. And by God, I'm going to make sure that you do what you say you're going to do. And through that process, that's how we managed to for the veterans to get that kind of money's coming in. Nothing pleases me more than to win an appeal case, because I've kicked the government in the teeth enough times that they finally said, okay, look, you win.
So with that, what do you see as the biggest challenges confronting Morgan County? And if you were to be the winning candidate for the county executive's office, what would you do to address these challenges?
Okay. The biggest challenges that face Morgan County today are the same biggest challenges that faced Morgan County back in 1940s and 50s, and that's bringing industry in here. Now, today, bringing industry in here is even harder to do because all of our industry has been shipped out overseas, north and south of us, thanks to the NAFTA agreement. So having major industry coming here to Morgan County is really hard. But the one thing that I do know that's an industry, and I stated this 8 years ago when I ran for office, and that was tourism. Tourism is an industry. Since that time, I was on the ground floor of a group that got together that wanted to promote tourism, which is the Morgan County Tourism Alliance. And I have actively sought to promote the tourism within Morgan County, the beauty, the naturalness. We have everything here. And I have worked diligently for the last 8 years, on trying to get that, on ensuring that message gets out across not only the state, but across our national partners also, to bring people to Morgan County to see what Morgan County is like. A lot of people come to Morgan County, they look at it and they go, "Wow, this is a great place." It's people are nice, people are genuine. Gee, I wonder what it would take to move my business here. That's the step. That's the stepping stone. Of getting somebody to try to, but nonetheless, people come in, they spend their money, they love the beauty, they return. I mean, it's just so much of that.
Well, you sort of spoiled my next question because you hit on something that's near and dear to me, and that is industry, bringing industry into Morgan County. I know it's been frustrating for me personally. A lot of folks like myself do a lot of driving to get outside of town to get a job. So, and you're talking about how tourism links with industry. Is there any other opportunities for Morgan County to bring industry in? Or can you tell us, if you were the winning candidate for county executive, what you would do to try to attract industry into Morgan County?
Well, absolutely, and we're primed for it right now. And let me explain how that is. We have 2 4 lanes coming. 62 is going to be a 4 lane. 27 is going to be a 4 lane. With that kind of traffic, industry will see that there are these prime points, and we are in a prime point between the north and the south, and the east and the west. So that's going to open up many doors for us. What we have to do now, right now, today, it should have already been happening. There should be discussions. There should be talk about what are we going to do? How are we going to approach this? Well, let's see. We get the 4 lanes. So I want to talk to, I want to go over to pick a place, that has roads coming through there like that, and see what they do, how they're doing it, so you can come up with some kind of strategic plan. And some people say, oh, the 4 lanes are not going to be here for another 5, 10, 15 years. That's down the road. You know what? They said the same thing about 40. That's down the road. And look where 40 is today. It goes right around Morgan County.
Uh,
Mike?
yes.
So, Mark, that brings up another good point. I'm glad you talked about that a little bit. So we have down in the Roane County, Cumberland County side, we have the Plateau Partnership Park that the county went into partnerships with these other two counties on a while ago, I think in 2007. We asked the county executive this question, and we wanted to ask you the same question. So we acquired that property and put, I think, $2.5 million worth of infrastructure into that property. And they just recently sold it to this racetrack that's coming in, the Motor Speedway, for $600,000, I think. So that's, by estimates in Wartburg math, $1.9 million loss for the citizens of Morgan County. Do you anticipate that we'll ever see our money back from that investment?
This is the point where I like to be the optimist, and I would like to say yes. And how so? Maybe not on that particular piece of property, but maybe by the surrounding properties that could be developed into restaurants or gift shops or hotels or places for people to stay. And I see that as how we might be able to recoup some of those monies. Are we going to be able to recoup all of it? It's going to take a long time. I, you know, I was not there to at that particular time when this all took place, and I cannot say whether it was a good thing that we did this or a bad thing. I know that there was a lot of hope, a lot of the potential out there was awesome, but some studies I do know for a fact were not done appropriately to ensure that we could build upon those lands out there, and that the soil compaction and stuff like that.
Well, to follow up on that, I want to make sure that we're clear. Like for me, when I choose to support someone for executive, there's a few things I have in mind, right? I want to have somebody that's slightly skeptical, that always asks the right things, and who will always negotiate on behalf of Morgan County citizens first.
Yep.
So, in my opinion, in 2007, when they signed a 20-year tax agreement to share the tax revenue from that should have not been 20 years. There should have been another way to do that, whether it's 30 years, whether it's in perpetuity, forever, whatever it might have been. Because what we're seeing is the taxpayers of Morgan County is on the hook for $1.9 million. We're never going to get that back directly. No. And if you are elected, my hope would be the same with whoever's elected to any office, is that you negotiate on behalf of the Morgan County taxpayers, not just to get something done.
Oh, absolutely. Let's make that point perfectly clear. The Morgan County taxpayer comes first, regardless of anything else. And the whole portion of that, like I said, I didn't have the full details, but there were a lot of things that could be done, and as county executive, I want to hear both sides. I want to hear what this side's saying. I want to hear the pros. I want to hear the cons too, so I can weigh out those pros and cons, and then come to the people with a logical solution, weighing those pros and cons out, being able to address each one of those in a respectful and thought-provoking way.
So, Mark, one of the things that came up, and I apologize, I don't know this to be fact or not, but it's been said that you negotiated yourself a $5 an hour raise while working over at the Veterans Office. Can you tell me, is there any truth to that? And is there a story there that we don't know?
Yes, sir. I sure can. And thanks for asking. It was in January of 2019. Shortly before that, there was another individual that worked in the office with me. The total budget for the office is $25,000, as approved by the county commission. So, and the county commission, when it first established, said that the American Legion would be the overseers of this particular office. Because why? Because it's all veterans, and they would understand and they would have a better insight as to what's supposed to be being done in that office. So I asked the leadership, and I said, "Hey, look, this other guy quit. He was making $10 an hour. We really didn't have anybody step up and said, 'Hey, I wanted a job.' So I said, 'I tell you what, we were only open 3 days a week at that particular time.' I said, 'I'll tell you what, if I can increase my pay $5, then we'll open up the office, Monday through Friday.' And they said, 'Yeah, sure.' So I was getting $10 an hour. I gave the $5 raise put me to $15 an hour, but it did not increase that budget line item one penny, because it was $25,000 to begin with. So what that allows me is basically 29 hours per week, which equates to about 6 hours a day, 6 hours 4 days, and 5 hours one day, of having that office open and assisting veterans Monday through Friday. And I try to pick the most convenient hours because, we got veterans. I'm not talking about 70-year-old veterans, 80-year-old veterans. I mean, they're in there too. But I've got 20-year-old, 22-year-old veterans, 30-year-old veterans that are working a job. So sometimes I have to open up and say noon, stay till 6 o'clock. That way I'm covering everybody, I'm trying to do, and if somebody calls and says, "Hey, Mark, hey, I work second shift and I can't get there during that time frame. Can I get an early?" Hey, sure. I make an appointment. Yeah, man, no problem. 8 o'clock, come in. I don't charge the county for that. That's part of the job. It's not salaried, it's hourly. If it was salaried, it'd still be the same. If you called me at midnight and said, "Hey, I need to talk to you right now. I've got this problem." Hey, when you're salaried, just like you's in the military, that's 24/7, baby, 24/7. Yep. You ain't got no time off. It's 24/7.
We appreciate the answer, Mark. I know the county executive, when we interviewed him, had said that county employees were grossly underpaid, I think was his quote. So that's just part of that. You were a county employee, and so I think everybody can appreciate the VSO.
So let me clarify that a little bit too. Okay, I am not a county employee.
Okay.
Okay, that office is contracted. I do not pay. I do not pay into. I do not pay into any kind of retirement system. All your courthouse employees pay into TCRS, Tennessee Consolidated Retirement System. I don't pay for insurance. They don't charge me for. In other words, my county employees pay so much per month for their insurance. I don't do that. The county does not pay the other 6% on my Social Security taxes. I pay the 12% full. They don't give me a W-2 form. I pay all my own taxes.
Okay, Mark. So one of the contentious issues that's going to be coming up facing the county fairly soon is the future of the county jail. So since you're running for county executive, can you tell us where you see that issue going, and what do you feel like is going to be the solution?
Run that by me again. I'm sorry, I've drawn a blank here for a second.
So one of the contentious issues that's going to be facing the county commission and the county executive is going to be the future of the Morgan County Jail.
Right.
Okay. All right. So can you give us your thoughts about where you see that issue going, and maybe even if you think you've got an opinion on a solution, where that'll be?
Well, that can's been kicked down the road a long time now, um, and I do know this much, and I want to say, thank the sheriff and Judge Davis for working together on trying to keep that overcrowding to a bare minimum, so that the state is not just absolutely shutting us down. So that needs to be said, and I want to say that publicly to thank them for diligently working together to make those things happen. It puts it in both your law enforcement officer and your law judge in a very precarious place, because breaking the law is breaking the law, and especially with the drug issues that we have today here in Morgan, well, all over the United States, not only just here in Morgan County, but all over the United States. And when you have to pick which of these offenders do I let go, just really makes it hard. You heard of the broken windows. You heard of the broken windows theory. You get the guy that's breaking the windows. You'll get the guy that down the road is going to murder somebody. So I mean that's a very, very Reader's Digest version analogy of that, but that's what that boils down to. So there are things that could be done. I mean, there was talk at one time about the Justice Center and so forth. We had an opportunity. We had an opportunity to try and talk to the citizens about this, and that was when, 4 years ago when I ran for office. It's like, well, the tax rate is $3.10. $3 and something, and that's awful high. Taxes need to be lowered, and I said then I can lower your taxes tomorrow. I can lower the tax rate tomorrow. And it was all talk about the tax rate, because at that particular time we were $55,000 below the average mean for the state of Tennessee. So the simple fix was, okay, we go up $55,000 to put you at the average mean for everything else, and then I take the tax rate and put it down at $1.10. Do you pay any more taxes? No. Your tax rate's lower, but guess what? You're still paying the same amount of taxes. 3 years later, guess what happened? Guess what the state did? They did exactly that. And then what did the county commission do? They said, okay, here, we can lower the tax rate. They had that opportunity there to say, okay, maybe we don't go down this far, maybe we go up. It was an opportunity to talk to the citizens earnestly about the taxes. What are the taxes for, and so forth. We could do a bond issue or a levy tomorrow. On this election. Hey, look, we got this bond issue. We got the jail. What does the citizens feel about it? And then you got to be honest with them. You got to tell them, hey, look, if they come in and shut the jail down, guess what's going to happen? You're going to pay X amount of dollars a day to house these inmates somewhere else. There's been talk about, you talk to the state, and you talk to the feds, and if and then they pay for jail cells to be available to them, and when you can use the jail cells, but if they have a federal prisoner or state prisoner coming in, or you got to make those cells available, which then would offset some of that. As far as the Justice Center and stuff, they were talking about that, and you can't get grants for a Justice Center. You can get a grant for a school, So you could very well take a school, build a new school, and at a reduced cost of building something, you could probably turn that school into a Justice Center. Most of the schools have a gymnasium, cafeteria. Classrooms could be turned into jail cells and so forth. I'm not saying that's the way to go. But I'm just saying that's a thought. That's a process. You know.
So you mentioned, Mark, that you ran for election 4 years ago.
Yes, sir.
So if you could rewind the past, is there anything you would have done different in the campaign 4 years ago?
I would have probably addressed some of the smear tactics that were given on me, but I left it up to the people of Morgan County because I believe that they have good hearts, they're good, honest people, and they can see through the smoke.
Mark, okay, this is another question that we had brought up to the county executive, and we want to ask you about that. So we got a lot of things facing our country right now, our county, our state, our country, gas prices, food prices through the roof. Is there anything that you can do to have an effect on that or have an opinion about the state of our nation right now?
Well, I mean, right, yeah, I mean, right now, it is getting harder and harder for people to make ends meet, and the ones on a fixed income are having the hardest. They already had a hard time. Now it's even worse, And when it comes down to choosing between food or medicine, it's a sad day, But I want to reach out to those folks and let them know that there are entities available. You just got to reach out to them. Morgan Sky Project, Storehouse Ministries, Unicorn Fund. There are things available. ETHRA, to try and help them folks. It's our country is in peril, and what do I mean by that is it's under attack, and it's not under attack from outside sources with bombs and missiles. It's being attacked from the inside, and the way it's being attacked, it's attacking our families, it's attacking our communities, it's attacking our churches. I mean, church is a very basic institution to any community. Families, families go to church. Families, family is the core of everything. And that's under attack. Like that's under a vicious attack. From all sides. The CRT, and those kind of things. It just, we're constantly bombarded every single day. I mean, you can't even turn the TV on without being bombarded with well, it should be this way or it should be that way, or and it's up to the family. That's the family's choice. That's what it's all about. Those core values that we all take. I mean, this country was not founded on individualism. When the British came, it wasn't an individual that stood them off. It was the communities. It was the families that stood them off. And nothing can be. A strong family ties provide for stronger communities. There are a lot of strong family ties with folks here in Morgan County. You can see it every day. I mean, you talk to somebody, and they know their lineage, they know their family, they know who's who before that and before that and before that, and where they lived, and that's what binds people, is that family, and you start destroying that. If they succeed in destroying those family values, where the kids are turning against the parents, and the parents are turning against the grandparents, and the cousins no longer get together and play in the yard and those kind of things. That's why we're going downhill.
You appreciate that, Mark. I know we got a big family. The Francis family is a pretty big family. Me and Heather and the 7 kids, and the traditional family really is under assault from all aspects, from locally, addiction, is tearing families apart. Lots of other things are tearing families apart. Washington is tearing families apart.
Yeah.
They try to indoctrinate your kids and all that things. So I appreciate you taking a strong stance for the strong family core. That, again, was the original institution that God created. He created the family first.
That's correct.
And then all things came after that. So the last thing I have is we want to talk about how we have kind of dealt with the pandemic here in Morgan County over the last couple of years. And in 2020, and I know you led the Morgan County Tourism Alliance, and you guys had a lot of things going on that seemed to might have halted while the COVID response was going on. But I think you guys were able to press through and really see some accomplishments. Talk about those accomplishments from the Tourism Alliance, because I know there's a big date coming up on April 22nd with the Tanner's Historic Cafe, and just give us some insight there.
Yeah, COVID was a tragic thing for everybody across the United States. We were fortunate we didn't lose many here in Morgan County, and when I say that, I don't mean to downplay that at all. But any loss is tragic. But no, COVID, businesses were shut down, people couldn't go anywhere, locked up. We Tourism Alliance, we went to hold our Christmas market on the square, and because of the COVID deaths, we had to close it down. The Tennessee Mountain Laurel Festival was canceled 1 year. The following year, we pushed on with the Tennessee Mountain Laurel Festival. A lot of people were not in agreement with us pushing forward with that, and they said no. The signs show otherwise, and we did. And all during COVID, we still worked on the Tanner store. I mean, we were not able to get the prison help like we've had in the past, but the volunteers get in there, and I can't speak enough about them. They came in, did the work on there when we weren't able to get crews to come in there and work. The Veteran Service Office didn't close during the pandemic except for 2 days when my wife actually had COVID. So, I mean, yes, COVID was very detrimental, and we are just now starting to see the tip of the iceberg of what COVID has caused across the United States and to our individual lives. And to those places that stayed open and stayed operating, we wouldn't be where we are today if those places had shut down too. So to blame everything on COVID, no, I don't buy it. I'm sorry, it doesn't work. There were things that could be done. I know a lot of people worked from home. And while I'm on that, let me just, if I can, diverse here just for a second. I want to take this moment to thank all of our first responders, the sheriffs, the ambulance crews, all those folks that were out there, fire departments, that didn't have that opportunity to work behind a desk on a computer at home, that had to be out in the face of this monster the whole time and still today. It's a shame. It's a crying shame that the heroes of yesterday are being bullied and ridiculed and downtrodden that they are today. But I wanted to take this moment from the bottom of my heart to say thank you to those folks for what they did for that time frame and what they still continue to do today in the face of the adversity.
Well, that's all the questions that I have. Mark, Tommy, you got anything else?
No, Mark, I'll just add, if you have anything you'd like to add and just kind of close out. I know election's coming up August the 4th. Early voting starts July the 15th. It'll run for 2 weeks. So if you have any closing remarks.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Again, thank you for this time. Thank you for those questions. Thank you for allowing me to get a voice and a message out to the folks. in the paper I saw the other day, it said Mark Keck qualifies as candidate, and then there was the one paragraph that was very benign, talking about myself and my running my opponent, and it was very good. And then of course the one paragraph said that Mark Keck didn't win Mark Keck. This is not the first time he ran for the office. He ran before and didn't win. That's right. I didn't win before. There was 5 other people in the race. This time it's a head-to-head race. This time it's about Morgan County. Always has been about Morgan County. I'm going to get out and I'm going to work my rear end off because I don't need the money. I need the opportunity. The opportunity. What's that opportunity? The opportunity to make sure that Morgan County gets some kind of strategic plan. So, that some kind of pathway. At least a pathway. I mean, I'd like to have a roadway, but at least a pathway of where we want to go in the future, what we want to see. And that doesn't come from Mark Keck. That comes from input from everybody in this county. Where do you want to see this county be? I don't want us passed up again. This is a prime opportunity. We got passed by when 40 went around us. Let's not let that happen again. So I'm asking for your vote and do the very best that I can. And with my leadership skills, I believe we can accomplish this to make Morgan County even a better place. I'm not saying, but what I am saying is this. When it's quiet and nothing's being said, right? And if you're a parent, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That means that child's in there doing something, either writing on the wall or spilling the cereal all over the place. They're just not telling you about it. And with that, I thank you.
All right, thank you, Mark. This is Tommy Lee Francis, the Morgan County Today, Michael Nance. We're out. Hey, everybody. It's a great day to be alive. This is Tommy Lee Francis with the Morgan County Today. I'm here with my friend Michael Nance, an author and a columnist in the Morgan County Today. Also, he is the Morgan County historian. We're here with the Morgan County executive, Brian Langley. We'll be doing an exclusive interview with Brian so he can tell us how he's been doing the last 3.5 years and to give the voters an informed decision when making their decision on who to support. So with that being said, Mike, you can start asking the questions.
Well, first of all, thank you for coming up here to agreeing to do the interview. I'm sure all the voters will be happy to hear information from you today. So first, Brian, if you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, what community you're from, your education, work history, family, just a little intro.
Yeah, I live in Oakdale, and my roots are in Oakdale. My dad's family, Langleys, are Oakdale Langleys, and goes back for years and years. And education-wise, I graduated from Oakdale in 1988. Attended Rome State Community College. Never finished. Don't have a college degree. And I guess I went through the School of Hard Knocks. I guess you can say I had a variety of different jobs there for a few years, and settled down and got in the newspaper business, I guess, in 1992, and continued working in that capacity at different capacities after, going on 26, 27 years. And then, decided to run for this office 4 years ago. And, fortunate enough that people elected me in this position back in 2018. And it's where I'm at today. And, just blessed that to have the opportunity to work for the people of Morgan County.
So let me ask a real quick follow-up on that when you said you decided to leave this industry, because now, as you know, I'm actually running the paper that you created and started back in 2014. What made you decide to make that decision to leave something you knew and were comfortable with and were good at and to run for elected office?
That's a good question, Tommy. When I decided to do that, it was a deal where I just felt like a change needed to be made at that time, and I thought, man, I can do one of two things. I can stand up and step up and do something, give people a different choice, or I can continue doing, just complaining about it, the way I thought things were going at the time. And I decided to put my name in the hat and run. And it was something that was not an easy decision, something I prayed about. And I feel like that at that point, it's what God wanted me to do. And, I hated it. I was torn, to be honest with you. all those years in the newspaper business, it really was a blessing too. I mean, I enjoyed all those years and built a lot of great relationships, and just felt like that was something at that time I was meant to do. But things change, and here we are 4 years later, and and sitting in this position, and just blessed, fortunate that things worked out, and I'm of the great belief that God puts us all here on this earth to do try to do good, and I feel like that's right now. This is what He wants me to do, and I want to try to do the best job I can for the people in Morgan County.
What do you feel like is the biggest strength you bring to the office?
Michael, I think the main thing is just my relationship, my communication skills with people. I think that I know this. I'm no better than anybody out there. I'm just somebody that's in this position trying to get some things done while I'm in this position. And I work for the people of Morgan County, and I'm no better than them. I understand where they're coming from. If they've got complaints or if they got concerns, I know what they're talking about, and I think that's the biggest thing. One of my biggest things when I came into this position 4 years ago was I want to try to bring everybody together best we can. And at that time there was some fractions, and it had been splintered, and I came in with the attitude that, hey, let's work together. I don't care who gets the credit. Let's just work together, try to get some things done. And I think that's the main thing. I'm just no better than anybody else. I'm one piece of the puzzle, and I want to help try to bring everybody together. And I think that's my biggest strength is just my people skills.
What do you feel like are the biggest challenges Morgan County is currently facing, and how are you leveraging the county executive office to support those challenges?
Well, if you surveyed 100 different people, you're probably going to get 100 different answers on what they. From my position, of course, you always my number one priority. Let's do whatever we decide to do. Let's do what's best for Morgan County and as a whole. And some of the biggest challenges, if you'd asked me this question 3 years ago, who would have thought that we'd went through this pandemic that's caused so much grief and hardships and heartaches, and lost a lot of good friends and family members through this terrible disease, and it really made you have to rethink things, and that was a big challenge, and we're still having to go through that, and that was a big challenge, but at the same time there was a lot of positives that came out of that from the pandemic. I think it brought families closer together. I think, and I also think that with all this money that's been poured through, it's gave us an opportunity to do some things that we wouldn't have been able to do. And challenges, our county employees are underpaid. All of them across the board. That's EMS, that's Sheriff's Department, that's our courthouse employees, that's solid waste. The whole gambit. Road Department. We've got great employees in this county, and they're grossly underpaid. And that's a big challenge. That's something that we want to take care of our people. They do a great job, and we want to. That's one of the challenges we face. And I feel good that we'll be able to hopefully try to make some strides in that area.
Where do you see the opportunities for Morgan County to grow and meet some of these challenges?
Well, there's one thing that I'm not going to really go into the details about right now, but there's something with our local option sales tax that's the way it's set up right now that we're going to look at maybe possibly changing. If that happens, that'll free up some money that we'll be able to hopefully do some things. I'm not going to go get too deep into it because we're not too deep into it ourselves, but there's an opportunity there, and then a lot of it, we've got some business growth, we've got a lot of tourism stuff going on. We got to cash in on that. We're trying to do some things to help enhance that, and it all comes together. The more people that are here in Morgan County, the more business we got here in Morgan County, the more money it's spent here in Morgan County. It all trickles down, and it helps. It helps us.
That money was used to get things like the new heart monitors and things like that at the EMS. I think it was help used to get some trucks for the sanitation department, or grants were used. A lot of money was used. Was that used to kind of plug holes in the budget?
Yeah, it was one of those deals, and backing up even before this American Rescue Money, where we got over $4 million, there was $1.2 million we got through that flowed through the state. It was governor's grant money. We've got 2 years of that. We got $1.2 million, and then we got roughly 350,000. There was a couple other pockets of money we've got that we've been able to utilize to. Yeah, big part, like you said, it's to fill in the gap on some of this budget stuff that how are we going to pay for something? How are we going to pay for an ambulance that we desperately need in? How are we going to pay for a big piece of equipment that we've got to have for solid waste? How are we going to pay for sheriff's departments vehicles? How are we going to do things like that ultimately is going to cost the taxpayers? And we put a good game plan in place, and Crystal Garrett is, I mean, she's phenomenal in that position as finance director. We were really blessed to have her, and her knowledge and her just expertise with numbers, and we've got a good budget committee, we've got a good county commission, and you're just blessed that we were able to spend that money pretty wisely. And we still got a second batch of money coming through that we're going to be able to help some nonprofits that normally don't get anything, and we want to help everybody.
So what happens when that money runs out?
Well, we'll be thankful that we were able to spend it for good causes, and to help us put us on better ground. That some of this stuff, I'll take for example, our heat and air unit had went out in the courthouse. We're freezing in the wintertime, and burning up in summertime. It got to 90 degrees there in the courthouse, and we had to work in those conditions because we didn't have heat and air unit working. And $240,000 later, out of that governor's grant, we've got heat and air now, and just things like that. We didn't have to go to the taxpayers and gouge them and try to suck them dry. We're trying to do that. We're trying to always keep that in mind, that the taxpayers, they pay a lot of money, and we've got to be mindful of their dollars.
Well, of course, that was tax dollars too, just to be clear.
Yes, but local property taxes is what I'm talking about.
So basically, I hear you saying those are non-reoccurring funds. You spent most of that money on non-reoccurring expenses. Is that right?
Yes, for the most part, yes.
Okay, because once that money runs out for any reoccurring expenses, that money would have to come from somewhere. Do you anticipate a tax increase anytime soon after the election?
I don't anticipate one. I feel like we're really in good shape right now financially. I really do. I think we've really done a good job, and I want to give credit to my predecessor, Don Edwards. He didn't spend a lot, and that's a good thing. I mean, it really is. We've had an opportunity to have some extra money. We was able to do some things that just not been done. And he tried to keep that tax rate down, and that's what I'm gonna continue to do too. We don't want to be a burden on the taxpayers every time we turn around and try to increase taxes. That's not what we're about.
Tax rate in Tennessee right now for Morgan County property tax rate is 271.9. So basically 272 right at it, and that's the lowest number it's been in a while, maybe ever. I don't know, but it is still the 18th highest in the state, and our population is the 65th. So we're on the bottom end of population, losing population at a rate of 4.5% per year right now, according to the data on the U.S. Census Bureau website. So 21,000 pop, 2,500 of them are inmates, 65th in population, and a tax rate of 18th. I mean, does that seem to be the right number?
Hey, we're always shooting for better, and we're a lot better than we were 4 years ago. We had probably one of the highest tax rates in the state of Tennessee. So we're making progress. It don't happen overnight. It comes with a lot of work, determination, and people working together. That's what it's all about.
Oakdale has a city tax of 208 on top of the 271. Do you think the citizens of Oakdale are getting services to justify 208 on top of a 272?
That's a question for the citizens of Oakdale, and I live outside the city limits, so I can't answer that. I don't want to answer for the people there. That'd be a question for the citizens of Oakdale.
Do you work with the city mayors around the county, which Sunbright, Wartburg, and Oakdale have one, to kind of talk to them about those things and to work your budgets together so that it offsets tax rates and helps the citizens of the county?
As far as their budget, no, I don't get into their business. I mean, if here's our relationship. If the city of Wartburg, city of Oakdale, city of Sunbright's got something going on, they need help from the county, we're going to jump in and help them all we can, and vice versa. If we need some help from those municipalities, I'm not bashful about asking for help. And we've got a good working relationship with Mayor Miller, Mayor Dagley, and Mayor Melton. All good people. They care about their communities and their cities, and they do a good job. And that's kind of my frame of mind is if we can do anything to help those communities, we're going to do it, and vice versa. I'm not bashful about asking if we need some help from their end, and it's happening at all three municipalities. So I'm tickled with the relationships we built the last 3.5 years.
Using the American Recovery Funds, you were able to. We discussed plug holes in the budget, use it for mostly non-reoccurring expenses to help the county out. My understanding is y'all gave bonuses to all the county employees, right, with some of that money?
Yes, we got. It was what it's called premium pay, and pretty much that was one of the things. Early on, that was one of the few allowable expenses until they gave us final guidance. And our workers all across the board, especially our EMS, our sheriff's department at that time, they were going into situations where they didn't know what they were encountering,
That's true.
and that's the least we could do.
The employees that were kind of on the front lines, like the healthcare workers and the sheriff's department and the EMS guys, they got the bonus, but also the employees that were working from home got the bonus, right?
I don't know who was working from home, to be honest with you. Everybody got bonuses. All county employees got bonuses, yes.
But what about bringing industry into Morgan County? I mean, myself and a lot of folks of my age, if you're going to get a good job, you have to drive 50 or 100 miles. So, what kind of efforts have you guys done at the commission and the county executive's office to bring in industry to Morgan County? Acknowledging it's a tough.
Oh, it is. It
It's
is.
tough.
It is, and you got to consider what infrastructure is in place. A lot of times when an industry, say a big industry, was possibly looking at locating in Morgan County, where can we put them? What infrastructure is in place to accommodate them? And then, and then you're going to have to look at the workforce. What kind of workforce do you have? So there's a lot of variables right there. And the efforts on my part and my position in the county commission is that we, me personally, I'm trying to get involved with the economic development board. They're the ones that get a lot of that stuff even before I get a chance to hear or see. They're getting feedback from potential industries that be looking to locate here. I think what we've done a good job with is take, for instance, Harass, the expansion, what they're trying to do. That's one of our biggest industries right now is Harass. It's good paying jobs. It's local here. I wish they could employ 200 or 300 people. They don't right now, but they're growing. They've got plans to expand. Matter of fact, they just closed on their deal to buy the property there that they're located. I've been leasing it for quite a few years now. So there's some positives going on. From my perspective, anytime there's any kind of potential businesses or industry that's locating here, that's communicating with me, I've had a few calls. Hey, my number one thing is let's show them that we want them here, and let's try to figure out a way that we can get them here. And it's frustrating. It is. We'd like to have the big plants and everything here. That's probably not going to happen right now. It may not happen ever. But my job is to try to, if there's potential, let's make a sales pitch. Hey, why not Morgan County? But it all starts with the infrastructure. We got to have better infrastructure in place to be able to accommodate.
We just landed that racetrack on Plateau Partnership Park, the Motors Park, whatever they're calling it. That's going to be a pretty big deal.
It is, and that was Plateau Partnership Park that was established back in 2007. Morgan, Roan, and Cumberland County went in agreement, purchased nearly 800 acres on the Westville side, which would be in Cumberland County, and then roughly about 300 acres on the Morgan County side. And there again, infrastructure was not in place. There were several companies over the last several years that site came into a final 2 or 3, but hey, Memphis was already set up, ready to go, and there in that site, it was just wasn't pad ready to bring them in within a few months. It was going to take a year or two and then you got to worry about making sure that the governor and the people at the state level are on board to help make that happen.
So my understanding is that was a 20-year agreement for a tax sharing system, right? And we're looking at year 15 right now.
Yeah, we're 5 years out. Yeah.
So by the time the racetrack's there and operational, maybe have 2 years of sharing taxes.
Yeah, maybe 3 or 4 years. Yeah, at the most. Yeah.
So how much did Morgan County invest in that property?
$2.5 million was invested from all 3 counties. So I think what's that, 7.5 million, I think, or it might have been a little bit less. Maybe 2.25 million. It was north of 2 million.
And then how much did we sell that for?
That one tract of land, the nearly 800 acres, was sold for. I wish I had the number in front of me. It was roughly 2.1, 2.2. I think maybe 2.25. It was running. It was a little.
So Morgan County, of their $2.5 million investment, how much have they got back on that right now?
650,000, 660,000.
Okay.
I don't have those exact figures in front of me.
So that was a deal, obviously, that you were not privy to. That was in 2007, a couple administrations ago.
Yes.
And then you kind of you had what you had.
Yes.
And what about negotiating for a longer time on that?
And the way that's set up is all 3 counties got to be in agreement. Of course, you're Cumberland County, you're holding the cards there.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't want that. Us in Roane County approached about, hey, let's extend this on. You know, in good faith, we've been at the table with you for 15 years. Let's extend that maybe 10 years, 15 years out to give us a little bit more of a piece of the pie, and it just didn't happen.
Do you think it was a raw deal from the beginning?
I don't know. I wasn't there at the time. I know this, that property had sat idle for 15 years, and it was, we weren't getting anything out of the deal. So here's my thing on it. I think it'll be a good thing for the region. I think the guys that's coming to that's bringing all that up there, they've got the resources, the money to make this thing go big, and I think you'll see a trickle effect. I think you'll see some growth. Airport Road, Pine Orchard out towards the interstate. I think you'll see some stuff that's going to benefit Morgan County, and I think it's a big piece of the puzzle. It's a big thing that it's going to steer tourism back here once again to Brushy, to the Obed, to Rugby, all the things we offer here in Morgan County. It's just going to be, they're right down the road. It's going to be a big piece of the puzzle. I think it's going to help us. Now, yeah, I like to got my money back. I'd like to got 2.1, 2.5, whatever we put in the, but what I want doesn't necessarily mean what I'm going to get. So, I'm glad something's happening. I think this was probably the best case scenario, that we've got somebody that's going to invest a lot of money. I think that we'll get some benefit out of it.
Can you give everybody an update on where you see the direction of the jail going?
Good question, Michael. This is something that's been going on. I think when they redid back in 2004, 2005, that time frame, when they had to build add-on beds to the current, where the current jail's at, it was a bad situation, and they put a Band-Aid on it. But here's the case: that Band-Aid lasted for 15 years. So some people think, well, man, we invested $1 million or a little over $1 million for 15 years. That's great. It was. It was a good, nice little fix. But here we are, 15 years later, we're having to deal with it. And when I came into office, over 3.5 years ago, that was a big issue. They were at the table looking at what they needed to do, and it's something that's not going to go away. We know that. Pandemic hit. We were deep into discussions about what do we do, how big do we need to build it, where do we build it. There's just you got out varying opinions on what's going to be best. Pandemic hit. Numbers started to fortunately started to go down at the jails, and all the focuses went away. Fast forward, I guess, back late 2021, October, November, we got a call from the state. Hey, we got to start this conversation back up. So we've had 2 or 3 jail mitigation meetings in the last 3 or 4 months to get the conversation going again. And here's my thoughts. It's something that we're going to have to face, but at the same time, we want to, whatever we want to do, whatever we decide to do, this is my opinion only, we need to look at the long-term effects on this. We just don't want to put a Band-Aid on there, and 5 or 10 years from now, what in the world were they thinking? We want to do something that's going to fix this problem for 30, 40 years. We're in good shape, and we want to make us on better ground for future. And I think
moving it outside the city,
that's up for debate. That's still debatable. Personally, we need a bigger tract of land than what we're currently on. Because if you're going to expand, you got to have more room, you got to have more space. And there's that thought process that we move the jail out and the city's going to dry up. The city's not going to dry up. How many people's coming to the jail? We're not moving the courts. We're not moving the sheriff's department. It would strictly be a jail at a location pretty close. It'll be pretty close to Wartburg, where it's at. I mean, we're not going to move it to Oakdale or Cofield or Sunbright. That doesn't make any sense. So we're looking at some other options. There's state land on Flat Fork Road that we could get, instead of paying high dollar for some property that people are wanting here inside the city. We could get possible state land, and that'll save expenses, and we'd still have infrastructure that would, so that's a possibility. But who knows where it'll end up. I think we need to, whatever we decide on size of it, we need to look long term. We don't need to. Right now, we currently have 46 beds. We definitely need to double or triple that. We know that our numbers average 80 to 100, and as well as I do, things are getting worse out there. There's the drug problems that we've got. It's a trickle down effect. They're out there stealing, and they're getting in jail. We're putting them in jail, and we got to have a place to house them. So
could that be a ballot initiative, letting the citizens vote on, like, say, maybe location or
possibility. But here's the thing: citizens are more than welcome to attend these meetings too and get their input. That's the thing. These are public meetings that are held, and we encourage the citizens to get involved and let their voice be heard.
Speaking of the city, Brian, we were talking before the interview about the RV park here in the city of Wartburg, and I know I think you shared some information with me that I don't think everybody's got. So you want to take a few minutes and talk about that?
Yeah, and how that deal with the RV park came about is these 3-star grants that several years ago, it was every year, it was a $25,000 grant. You had to be made all the criteria. And of course, Morgan County's been 3-star status for quite a few years now. It changed, I guess, 2 or 3 years ago. It's every 2 years. It's $50,000. Well, when we got that, I guess the 3-star 2-3 years ago, we got to thinking we were talking about doing a farmers market, which would be a nice little thing. We said tourism's a big cash cow here in the county. We want to cash in. We want to help our local businesses. We're proud of what we have to offer here in Morgan County. A lot of people are coming here from everywhere. Not only the state, but all across the country. People like to come to Morgan County. We got some of the best. I've been told that we've got the best rock climbing this side of the Mississippi. Everybody knows about Brushy and the history there, and people are proud of that, and I'm proud of it. I'm proud that we've got Brushy here, and it's a big draw. And people are coming here, but when they come here, they're not staying here. There's no place to stay. They're going back to Oak Ridge and getting a room and spending their money eating there, shopping there. They're going to Harriman. They're going to Crossville. They're going back to Knoxville. So, hey, we need a hotel. We need a hotel. Well, what can we do in the meantime? Hey, RV park. These people are coming. They've got their campers. They're all this stuff, and they bring them in. This is a place they can come in for a couple days or a week, stay here, spend some money here, and then go back to where they came from. And we'll keep a revolving door right there. And there was some concern, but one of the biggest concerns I heard was we didn't want people staying there for months at a time. Their old school bus and no who's. So the big thing is it's going to be probably a minimum 2 days, a maximum 2 weeks. That way, you're not got people that's just staying there for long term. It's people that's coming here to visit and spend money, and then they're going back to where they came from, and we'll keep it hopefully. And it's going to be a smaller RV park. It's not going to be 200 or 300 spots like you've got in some places. We've got plans for 15 right now. That's plenty. That's plenty of space. And the main thing is, not only is that going to give us opportunity for business to prosper on that, and a chance for us to keep people to spend more money, but it's going to be county run, county owned, county operated, where that revenue's going back into the county. So it's another revenue stream that we can do some things with.
So you've mentioned several things that you feel like is going to support tourism holistically. Oakdale, the RV park. So do you really see tourism as Morgan County's biggest opportunity?
Yes and no. I think we've got so much to offer that's tourism based. When you get thinking about the great outdoors and all the things that are available here in Morgan County, and those things, not only do they bring in people that want to do those things and go back to their house, but it also opens up the door of what we've got right here in our own backyard, that people want to move here to Morgan County. It's so beautiful, and we've got so much to offer. I think people really see that, and my biggest thing, and people ask me all the time, what's even early on when I got this position, you go to these meetings and they say, what's your biggest thing in Morgan County? What do you offer that? No, it's the people. I mean, people are great here in Morgan County. They are. They care about each other. We as well as I do, when there's something goes down, well, people jump in and help. They don't care one bit. They roll up their sleeves and they care about their neighbor and friends and our people. That's our greatest strength here in Morgan County, and it's opportunity when people come here and do their things. They see how they get treated here, and people, they want to move here, and that's an opportunity for us to build our base. And I know you mentioned those census numbers earlier, Tommy. I don't believe those census numbers are right. I don't think they're even close to right. If you look at what last 10 years since 2010, you can't tell me there's not more people living here in Morgan County than there was now. I mean, we got people that's moving from all over the country that's coming to Morgan County. Yeah, there's people that move out of here. There's people that job opportunities, they've got to move to out of state or out of town, but there's a lot of people that's moving in, and there's a lot of people that don't trust big government, and they don't want to be a part of that. They don't want to take part in these census.
So you think it's because people didn't respond back to the
I think that's a big part of it. I really do.
Well,
My opinion.
I was also skeptical about those numbers as well because I know as far as utilities go that our utility companies have shown growth, right, with meters. So
That's true. That's a different way. And we got more community development. I mean, they're putting in that uh, new subdivision down there at Casale Road and all that.
yeah. And to your point, there is a lot of out of town people moving to Morgan County.
There is, and I welcome them. You know, I'm proud to live here in Morgan County, and I want people to, you know, welcome with open arms. They want to make home here in Morgan County. Hey, let's welcome them with open arms and be proud of that.
After your first 4 years as the county executive, if you were to look back in retrospect, is there anything you would have done differently?
You're always living and learning, and you know, and I'll say this: I was told when I first got elected, and this was from different people from different counties, different county executives, county mayors. They all give you that same advice. You're drinking from a fire hydrant, and that's true. That first 3 to 6 months, you're getting thrown information that you don't have a clue. You're meeting people that you don't know who they are, what they're about, what they can do for Morgan County. You're sifting through, trying to learn everything you can as quickly as you can, and you know, no, I think I think for the most part, I would do everything the same. It's a learning experience. You know, whatever we may have done that first 4 years that you know might not have worked out the way we wanted to, we've learned from it, and that's the thing. Wouldn't change anything. You learn and you grow from it, and I think like I said, I think Morgan County now is in a better situation than it was several years ago, and proud to be a little small part of that. And main thing is we're trying to work together. We feel like that we're moving in the right direction, and you know, I want to do a job that's pleasing to the people of Morgan County. That if I get beat this time around, I want to set it up to if Mark Keck beats me this election, I want it to be better shape for Mark Keck than it was for me 4 years ago. I just want to leave it in better place because I got family here in Morgan County. I got kids growing up. And I want them to have better, and that's the ultimate goal is let's make Morgan County a better place, whatever it takes, and let's work together and let's just let's work hard.
What is your mental priority list of things to accomplish in the next 4 years?
We've touched on some of that stuff. We want to continue supporting, you know, the tourism and what can we do? What can we bring to the table that's going to keep bringing people here and allowing them to stay? And one big thing is you know, been desperately needing a hotel for several, you know, quite a few years now. And there was been talk at different points in time that, you know, local people were going to build one or some outsiders. And right now the negotiations, and I think it's pretty much almost a done deal now that we've got a suitor for a hotel here, and that's going to be huge. But here's the thing: it's not going to happen next 3 or 4 months. It's going to be a deal where it's going to take 3 or 4 years when you consider the cost of materials, supply and demand right now. It's just the way that's just the way the world works. But we've got a guy and his brother that's been in negotiations with the Economic Development Board to locate on that 7.5 tract of land right there here in Wartburg, right sits quite close to the visitor center to bring in a hotel, and we're really excited about that. That's a big piece of the puzzle, and we want to continue to to build those relationships with all of our different agencies, and I feel like that too that I can pick up the phone if I need help from any surrounding counties on anything on any help. We've built those relationships these last 3.5 years that we can build on that and get help and some guidance. You know, there's some of these other county mayors and executives. They've been in these offices for quite a few years, and I go to them from time to time if I need some advice or you know got a question on something. So that's all about you know learning and maybe this next 4 years, if I'm fortunate enough to be elected, maybe that's something that my position will start. I'll start being able to some of these new people come in. I'll be able to maybe give them some advice and guidance that we went through some of this stuff.
You can look across the parking lot and see the gas prices out the roof, and that's hard on Morgan County folks, every other American. So, do you have any plans, help, opinions on that stuff?
I leave that stuff up to DC. I can't. We're just we're nothing. You know, we got to focus on what we can do at the local level to try to help our people in Morgan County. Yeah, it affects us. It affects all of us when we go to the stores and paying more money on our groceries and have to pay bigger utility bills, have to pay more at the pumps, and especially at the pumps. That's where it really affects us. our supplies and fuel and things that we've got to purchase here within the county, that affects us. It does. And we've got to be mindful of that. And we've got really good people in place all across the board. When you get to think about it, we've got good elected people in place that really watch their budget dollars like a hawk. We've got good department heads that we've put in place that watch their budget dollars like a hawk. And that's what you got to do. Case in point, Keith Kilby, our solid waste director, man, he's like a dang attack dog on his budget. He watches those dollars, and it gets closer to budget time. He's watching what he's got. He backs off on things that he needs. He knows he needs to do. He starts prioritizing what do we have to do, what do we want to do, what can we do. And right now, fuel costs is at a premium, so he's had to back off on some projects and some stuff that he wants to get done just to try to save some dollars. And that's what you got to do. You got to be mindful of that. And I just use that as an example, but it's affecting us all, and we've got to hang tight and hold tight, and we've got to be smarter and more wisely on how we spend our dollars.
I looked through the archives of this newspaper you started in 2014 at the Morgan County Today, and there was an article back, I think, election time ago about county employees' salaries and things like that. Okay, so let's talk about your office and the salary situation in your office, because when I think the previous executive was in office and his assistant, I think his assistant made anywhere from 26,000 to maybe 30,000 by the time he was done. It was really low. Is that still the same setup in your office, or does your assistant make more now?
Yeah, he makes a little bit more. Yeah, because here's where the thing happened is back when I got elected in 2018. That salary would have, I guess Woody Smith was who I hired in. He was making 26,000. Way we readjusted and set up the EMS when Larry Potter decided to retire, and we restructured everything. We put more oversight down there at EMS. It had been pretty much just left untouched, and there really wasn't a lot of oversight down there for several years. And the subsidy grew from roughly $50,000 back in 2003 or 4, and it bloomed to over $650,000 within 14 years. And that's something we just, it's kind of just, if you let something and you don't have oversight on it, it's going to go out of control. If you don't have any, you got to have eyes on it. And it wasn't. So that was a big focus. We wanted eyes in there that we want to start controlling spending a little bit more. There was some wasteful spending going on. So we got in there and took care of that. And at the time when we restructured everything, we did a $20,000 EMS supplement for Woody at that time to help bring his pay up to where it needs to be. And when he decided to leave, we brought in Brett Pilata as my new assistant. We did away with that. Doug Lamatz was in there, and then he'd been there for a year and a half, 2 years. I've got enough confidence. We had a good enough relationship. I'm more active, more involved on what's going on with the EMS, and we took that supplement away. Well, at that same time, we lost a position there within our office, and we absorbed it. We took part of that money out of that position and put it where it needed to go with our assistant. Because here's the thing: you better have your right hand man better be somebody good. And you got to pay for good people, and we did. We upped that salary up to right at $40,000 now, but it didn't increase our budget in the office. Where we absorbed a position, we put that money where it needed to go, and we've survived, and we've got a good team in place, and you get what you pay for, and here's the thing: it's set up now where in the future, whoever gets this position, they can hire somebody more qualified, a little better that they can bring in there instead of paying them a smaller pay, and that's where we're at with that.
Well, I brought it up, and I appreciate the explanation of that. But obviously, as a campaigner 4 years ago, your perspective was a little bit different because you were writing articles about employee salaries, okay? And now you have turned around and said, "Oh, this is where it really should have been." And think about that. And I'm bringing this up to say it's the difference between being a campaigner and being the governor, right? When you have to govern, you see that there's things. The previous administration was able to govern, as you have said, save the county money, didn't spend a lot of money, and he did it with an assistant who was making $26,000, and that was a talking point in your campaign last time. These salaries, and it was that low. And now this time you have found out ways legally found out ways to move money around to be able to help that position, like you said, to bring in more qualified people, because your right hand man better be somebody good, right? That was your quote there, I think.
Absolutely.
So I mean, just give me that, reconcile those two different views from Brian Langley, the campaigner in 2014 or 2018 rather, and Brian Langley, the now executive who's campaigning for reelection.
Brian Langley 4 years ago didn't have a clue about a lot of this stuff, to be honest with you. You're right. I learned a lot. I've learned a lot this last 3.5 years. And I never said anything about a salary of an assistant executive. It was never one of my talking points till I got in there. And like I said, we made those changes. And here's the thing, too. We talked about saving money, but here's the thing. Where we didn't spend money the last 8-10 years, it caught up with us. We weren't spending money, and we had to go in there and do a lot of work that should have been done during that time frame. So there was, it's a balancing act. We can all sit here and second guess. I can say, hey, I do this or do that. I feel like the decisions that we made during this first 3.5 years have been good decisions for Morgan County, and we're moving. And I'm excited about the future. I'm excited about everything we've been able to do. And hey, and one thing too, I want to say this. Whether you like Don Edwards, whether you like Tommy Kilby or Becky Ruppy or Alma Jones or Stoney Lane or any of those ladies that came before me, I've got a better respect for each and every one of them for this position. You don't know what they face on a day-to-day basis. I understand it a lot more now. I've got a lot more respect for them, and I'll be honest. Every one of those people, I've known every one of those since from Stoney Lane forward. I've known them. I've had a relationship with them one way or another through the paper, and I've always liked every one of those folks. At personal level, I do. Do I agree with what all they've all done? No, and I can guarantee you they're not going to agree with everything I've done either. And that's just the way it goes. When you're sitting in this seat, it's a different. It really is. It's a demanding job mentally. It can be draining at times, but I enjoy it. It's something that keeps me focused. It keeps me always thinking about what do we need to do? What can we do? How are we going to move? How are we going to make something happen that's going to help Morgan County? And that's always my thought process. What can we do to make Morgan County better? And that's it in a nutshell. And yeah, you're right. 4 years ago, Brian Langley's he's got a different opinion on some things that 4 years, than what I've got now.
Anything else you want to add, Brian? The election will be August the 4th, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
Early voting will start in July 15th, and that'll go for 2 weeks, and then the election will be August the 4th right now. And till then, unless one of y'all withdraw, it's Keck versus Langley.
And I want to say this too. I look forward to I enjoyed the campaign 4 years ago, and I'm sure I'm going to enjoy it again this year. Getting a chance to get out and see the people, and it's going to be a little bit different this time. 4 years ago, I was sitting in your seat and was able to go out and do some campaigning during the day if I got my work done and get out and see people. That's not the case this time. So my number one priority is my job. So I'm not going to jeopardize that for campaigning during. You're not going to see me campaigning during the day. I will be working long. I'll be out campaigning late in the evenings, on weekends, and then I'll be on the horn, on the phone, calling as many people I can. There's no way possible that you're going to see everybody out there. This county's too big and so spread out, but we're going to knock on as many doors as we can, and we're going to ask people to support me during this campaign. Like I said, I'm no better than anybody else. I'm just somebody that wants better for Morgan County. I'm going to continue working hard for everybody, and that people can say what they want to. I have no agenda other than I want to make Morgan County a better place. It's not personal. It's just something that I think right now this is where I need to be at, and I want to continue working for the people of Morgan County. I want to make them proud of what's going on, and I'm the type too. If you've got a question, concern, give me a call. I'm always open ears, and I've learned a lot. Great ideas come from discussion, conversation with people that's got an idea. We take everything seriously, and we've got some good ideas just from people giving us calls or seeing us out in the streets and telling us about something.
Okay, Brian, I appreciate it, Mike. Thanks for being out here, helping out election 2022.